everybody, welcome to my YouTube video. I am Jessica Henry Gray and I'm excited to have you with me today. Today I went to this nearby wildlife refuge. It was absolutely beautiful, gorgeous blue sky, wonderful temperature, and just like last year we had geese going crazy all over, but it was kind of fun and there were people out on their boat and fishing and so forth. So anyway, I saw this beautiful scene and I wanted to share it with you because the gentle wind captured these ripples in the water with this glowing sunshine on the water as well as the underwater rocks. I'm going to show you how to capture that glimmering sunshine on waves and some of the underwater rocks. But hang in there, I just want to share with you a little information about my newsletter. On my website, I have a newsletter that I think you'll enjoy. This Saturday, March 18th, 2023, I am doing a question and answer session that is open to all my newsletter subscribers. So I've been doing this on a monthly basis as part of my Epiphany Fine Art lesson program. As artists, we all get together for just a couple hours, talk about questions and so forth, and I do some critiquing of art and maybe do a quick demo. So this Saturday, I'm opening up these sessions to newsletter subscribers. I'm going to do that 4 times a year. So if you sign up for the newsletter, we will send you instructions on how to register for the question and answer. It's free, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Totally free. Another benefit for receiving my newsletter is that I'm going to announce each new YouTube video on my newsletter, giving you a little bit more background on the video and how you can use it to help improve your art. So you'll be the first to know about each new video and have some extra insights into how it was made and how you can use it. And of course, we usually throw in some sort of blooper or whatever. And being a newsletter subscriber, you could be updated on all of these new things, like my workshops, new paintings I'm doing, special offers, and of course when these live question and answer free ones will be made available. So go ahead, sign up on my website at Jessica Henry Fine Art, click the little newsletter tab, and it'll take you right there. Okay, let's jump into this video. Alright, so I'm going to take a little bit of the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna in a nice thinned down mixture of odorless mineral spirits. Knowing that this is where my tree line is going to be back here, I always go a little bit darker than I need because I know that I'm just going to wipe it off. Basically, I'm just staining the canvas. I was thinking ahead of time that some of this yellow ochre down below to stain the canvas would be perfect because of these rocks that are under the water. They're really showing up that yellow ochre. Oops. That can happen when your paper towel gets too close to the palette. There's no issue in oil painting that you can't fix. So don't worry if you do something like that. I'm going to take a smaller brush now and just block in more of a defined composition. I've got my sketch right here. Background here with the trees. So let's grab a little bit more of the yellow ochre and blue. And then I know that I'm going to want some of these rocks under the surface of the water. So I'm just going to sort of lay in where some of those are going to work for the composition. So I've mixed up a little bit of a nice gray, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and white. Doing that in the correct ratio will give you a nice middle tone gray, and that's what I want right here. So as I'm going along, the light does shift a little bit, so I want to make sure that before I start focusing on all of that background, that I hit really hard the main objective first, because that's probably going to change faster than I want. So, and I know that our general rule is to work from the background to the foreground, but when you have a situation where everything's going to change quickly, you have to grab what you can when you can. So those are the shadows on those rocks, the dark pieces, and I'm putting in the tops of the rocks under the water. So a little bit of white, yellow ochre, grab some of that sienna. And over here I saw the surface of the rock under the water. I like as they come closer to the dirt, the soil right at the edge, we have some beautiful yellow ochre and burnt sienna passages that are a nice addition to something reddish in this painting. It's otherwise very monochrome. You start to get some of these darker ripples, yellow ochre, ultramarine blue. You might remember my Canadian goose video from last spring. It is the season. I'm going to use a clean, fresh brush to get my darks in now, because that one I was using, even if I cleaned it, it's still kind of contaminated with the whites. So when I need a clear, crisp dark that doesn't have any whites, I grab a clean brush. While I'm putting in these brush strokes, as I'm discussing brushwork, I want to also point out the proper holding of your brush. Oil painting brushes are made long so that you can hold your hand further back. You don't want to get in there and do this. That's more, maybe watercolor painting or drawing. These are meant to be held back like this so that you can be further back from your painting. And so if you hold it loosely, you don't want a death grip on your brush. Just hold it loose, and you'll find you'll get some more interesting brush strokes that way. So right here where I'm seeing these reeds coming out of the water, it's a nice, that yellow ochre burnt sienna mixture. So I'll add some of that. That's where the light is not hitting the surface of the water. So we'll get some of that in there. So I'm very careful with my brush not to contaminate it with any white. It'll just, it will make my darks not as solid as I want. Just going along. A little bit more of the yellow ochre burnt sienna, maybe a touch of the white in here. And I shouldn't have gotten white in this brush, but I'll just put some back in here for the reflections. It's a really tiny bit of white that I used. Now this is a different brush, and I'm using this to kind of work in some of the trees and foliage back here because it needs to make sense for the reflections. Ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, just painting it right into what was on my palette with the some of that white and gray. And wherever you can add a little bit of color, I do sometimes push it just a bit, because this is a very kind of monochromatic day, even with the light shifting and colors being pretty vague. It's so easy when you're painting with a limited palette to make your color choices because it's what you have. That's all you have to work with. And so I have found that with this really limited palette, there is almost nothing I can't paint. I mean, short of some flowers and a few things, I do like to just have it clean and simple. Now I'm just suggesting some of these trees back here. I do want to come back through and make them look a little bit more interesting and kind of look. So I'm doing some of this lighter sky mixture, painted in the sort of the surface of the gray, because when I look at that line of trees over there, there's sort of a passage above the trees where the twigs meet the sky, and it's a thinner veil of value. So this white and the cad yellow, I'm just gonna put this down to map out where I want these bright shines to be. Okay, now those might get smudged and worked around a little bit, but in the meantime, I'm going to get back to doing some of the more highlights on the surface of the water. Further back, some of these waves back here. So that's white and some blue and some sienna. So I'm just going to take a little bit of phthalo green and some yellow ochre as I work on the water off to the right over here. And I'll just push this a little bit darker with some sienna and some blue as it goes further back. I want to tell you too, while I'm working on this passage in here, about France. Now, we have a few more spots open for this year in France. It is a plein air workshop, and we went last year, and it was absolutely a dream trip. And it was, I don't want to say once in a lifetime, because, you know, you can travel as much as you want. Memories and adventure from traveling are worth their weight in gold. Last year, we went to the Toulouse area, 5 hours south of France. We went to Rocamadour and the Dordogne Valley. We went to castles and medieval villages. It was absolutely wonderful. We stayed at a little town called Frasonnet, just a little village. It was storybook charming. We were spoiled rotten. Gourmet foods, wonderful local wines. It was wonderful. We will be going to a lot of charming old world villages. Collonges-le-Rouge is my favorite. It's voted #1 most beautiful, charming town in France. And so we will be going there, and it's lovely. It looks like a Harry Potter village, just wonky buildings and red stones and turrets everywhere. So yep, we're gonna do that again this year. The exact same dates, June 27th to July 7th, 2023, this year. And we do have a couple spots available left. More information is on my website if you're interested. A little bit more yellow ochre here and some sienna. Adding sienna to the yellow ochre is nice because it adds that next dimension, that warm earthy color. So right here it slips back into shadow a little bit more, so I add more blue and a little bit of brown. Another thing I want to point out while I'm just doing some of these ripples is wearing hats. So wearing hats while you paint. I always used to wear a baseball hat because they're easy to grab, but then this last fall they found a precancerous spot on my nose. I know that a lot of people at some point or another are going to face something like that, but anyway, I found it. I found that when I use just a baseball hat, my nose and the lower part of my face are still in the sun. And then there are times you just can't help it when the sun shifts and it hides that side of your face. But when you can, just try to wear a broader brimmed hat. That's what I've started to do now. It does more to protect your whole face, neck, ears. I'll tell you, putting that cream on my nose for 4 weeks was horrible. But the spot is gone now, so it worked, and hopefully I'll never have to do that again. So anyway, I'm keeping brimmed hats with my plein air stuff and saving baseball hats for, I don't know, what else. So as you can see, as I'm going along, I'm building up these ripples more and more. With every brush stroke, we get closer to having that illusion of rippling waves. So as you go back, you get softer, cooler, lighter, further back. Up front, we have more contrast, more intensity. Further back, we get more haze and atmosphere. And I want to very gently soften the edges of some of these rocks in the water. You have to be very careful. You can quickly lose sight of what you did and make them all mushy. So I wipe off my brush frequently to get off any color that might be contaminating it. I wipe it off on my paper towel and just keep going. So now these rocks here that are out of the water are very light gray. But instead of adding gray, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to give them a little more sense of dry, chalky, earthy texture. Add sienna to ochre for the dirt down here, or mud, or what have you. Coming out of the water, it's kind of dark. I'm going to sculpt around some of these rocks and take some of the green, a tiny bit of green and yellow ochre, and just pop in some suggestion of grass. It's obvious that this is no longer water because I'm standing on the shore. I'm going to take a little more of the yellow and yellow ochre, and then there's some white in there. Okay, so now I'm just going to do pure white in the middle. So a few bits of information, taking the palette knife, just dragging it through the white paint. All right, there, I'm just about to wrap this up. So we'll take this nice dark, and I'm using a synthetic brush so I can get a nice chiseled edge. Bristle brushes just don't get a really sharp chiseled edge, and so I'll use a little bit of thinner. Okay, so that's about where I'm going to stop. Alright everybody, well that wraps up this video, and I want to thank you so much for joining me, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I always enjoy your comments, and check out the links below, and I do hope to see you in France sometime, and yeah, check out the Epiphany page too. We're having a lot of fun, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Yay! He got it!